Welcome back. Episode number 4. Moving right along. We have a packed show today. I'm super pumped to actually get behind the microphone for this one. Looking forward to this episode all week. It seemed actually like a long time in between episodes, so I'm not sure how you guys felt out there, but excited to be back. We've got, again, a packed show. We've got our Milwaukee Tool prize winner joining me here in just a couple of moments. I've got Bret with BAMWX stopping by. We're going to talk Brazilian weather. Josh Linville has granted me permission to cover his fertilizer update here, that mid-November update. So we'll cover that. I also have a feed market update from our friend David Lee over at Marketplace Commodities. And lastly, we got a couple of combines for sale. We've got some twins that we're going to talk about here towards the end of the episode. New for this week, I have started up a bit of a text message line. Okay, so if you text 1-855-606-1889, that's the number. Text futures to that number, and you will get prompted into the What the Futures text group, or text list, I guess I should call it. Of course, you can always send me an email as well, with thefutures@gmail.com, and head to the website, which is whatthefuturespodcast.ca. So many different ways that you interact with me here moving forward. So let's kick off Positive Friday. I've got a couple of positive moments of the week here. I'm going to go all the way back to last Thursday, to the launch party at Troubled Monk. It was kind of like getting a nice big hug. There were farmers there that I had not had a conversation with since sometime in 2019 or 2020. Of course, met some new faces, and overall it was just a great time. So I had a lot of fun at the launch party. I hope you did as well if you joined me, and certainly one of my positive moments. Number 2 is actually this little recording that I'm putting together here. The podcast is actually traveling a little bit further than I expected after that first week. And so for me, super motivating to see that, and super excited to get behind the microphone again this week. I want to put together some solid content for you guys tuning in, and I'll just tell you, you haven't seen the best of me yet. It's a work in progress. Aim to get better and better each week, and that's the focus here. So without further ado, let's bring in our big winner of over $3,000 worth of Milwaukee Tool. Nathan, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast, my friend. I can't believe it was you that won the tools. Let's just start with that. The guy who I spoke to, of course, you sent in that great voicemail recording about what's going on with wheat markets, or what was the upside there. And so we were chatting back and forth, and you weren't maybe going to put your name in. So it was a good thing you did, buddy. Congratulations on the big Milwaukee Tool win. $3,455 worth of Milwaukee Tools. And I got to ask you, man, were you a Milwaukee Tool guy to start with?
Well, first up, yeah, thank you. I guess thank you for convincing me to enter in the first place, because, I hadn't up to that point. And yeah, that's probably the best part. For anybody that knows me, I'm not necessarily the mechanic around our farm. I got a couple brothers that are much more talented than I at that. So it's great because I won the tools, but they're Milwaukee fans. So maybe it'll be a little bit easier for me to convince them to help me out on my projects.
Perfect. Worst case scenario, you've got lots of Christmas presents to hand out if needed too, right? So, no, that's awesome.
Oh, exactly.
Well, I got you. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about your farm operation? Where are you guys based out of? And yeah, a little bit about farm and family.
Yeah, so we're a fourth generation family farm in West Central Saskatchewan. I get the opportunity to farm with my dad and a couple brothers. There's actually there's a whole slew of us, and we all work together. We farm. We mostly grain farm now. There was a time when there was cows, but that's kind of dwindled down now. So we seed primarily canola, wheat, yellow peas, dabble in some barley, malt and feed, oats, whatever we can make profitable anyways.
Yeah, you bet. Good stuff. And you got like a learning moment or a highlight from 2023? I know growing conditions probably a little bit tough in your area in 23, but any positive moments that you could cover?
You know what? Yeah, we definitely had some real adverse conditions, and I think our biggest learning from this year was never give up on the crop. There was times where it did not look good, and we wondered if we were doing the right things, and we kept doing what we always do. And there was some surprises out there and some good ones. And good. I mean, we're seeing everything from seed to drill technology and sprayer technology really carry us a lot further than maybe it would have past generations.
Awesome. That's really good. And good to see for sure. Well, man, again, congratulations on winning these tools. I am going to personally deliver these at some point in the next week or so. I know it's a little bit of a hike to get up to your place, but I've done the drive before and look forward to having a coffee and getting this out to you. And yeah, man, again, we'll talk soon and have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you soon.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Ryan. Thanks for the tools.
You bet. Well, there we have it, our big winner, Nathan, out of Unity, Saskatchewan. So, congratulations there once again. Continuing on here with episode 4, I want to just talk about maybe things that that we're working on the farm side. Maybe there's some helpful tips in here. Maybe you're way ahead of what we're working on, but I sometimes in the past have shared, what I think makes sense to be working on right now from a farm business perspective, and maybe it triggers something or helps. So, like our crop plan for the farm is outlined right after we plant. So if we're planting in May. Our next crop is we kind of have an idea on what's going on as we get into June. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, it's usually some selling opportunities out there, especially in your canola market, spring wheat, Kansas wheat, maybe soybeans and corn for a lot of folks as well. So that's kind of the one reason that we do our crop plan that early. And then we also, more often than not, are making a fertilizer purchase way back then. So now, as I sit here in November, if I haven't done those things yet, I'm still spending a great deal of time in the office now that fall work's done, and just kind of going over the budgets and the numbers. Okay, so I'd say today we know our fertilizer cost, or we have a really good idea. We've renegotiated or tied up any land rental agreements. I know my seed costs, my fertilizer costs, my land costs. Probably have a budget set aside for chem for now, and then also maybe a budget for insurance. So I'm certainly refining my numbers here and just kind of updating them, figuring out what it's costing me to grow a bushel of XYZ. And one reason for that is just to get a handle around profitability and arm yourself with that information for business decisions here. over the winter. But also there's probably, and more, likely another selling decision that is happening soon. We had AgriTrade last week, so farm shows are kicking off, and often at these farm shows, you start to get those bids for that next crop year. More often than not, you start to see those, and so you arm yourself with your information and give yourself an idea on what's profitable, what makes sense, and it's a good time to do that. So we're certainly spending our time getting a good handle on cost of production, a good handle on return on investment, and then also playing around with crop rankings. I've seen many analysts across the prairies come out with their crop rankings. We'll have Chuck Penner in a couple of weeks, join us to cover his. But I strongly encourage that you do one for your own farm. And the reason is obviously everyone has, you don't have to go very far between quarter sections to get different types of results. So what I might say is my number one crop could be, your number 10 crop when it comes to profitability. It just kind of depends. The easy thing is that anything in short supply that was grown in 23 in a drought area is a crop that you can pencil in as a higher return potentially here for 24. So you're looking at lentils, green peas, that sort of stuff. So I strongly encourage you to do one. Like I do yield and my price expectation, and then seed, fertilizer, chemical budget, and crop insurance. That's what I put in for my costs. Everything below that I use as my overhead number, and I want to see what ranks as the top in that scenario, and then I keep my overhead fairly consistent below that. So if I'm spending $250 to grow a canola crop with seed, fert, chem, insurance, another $300 of overhead, that's $550. I just use that 300 across each crop and figure out profitability from there. So right now it's all about the numbers, folks. I guess the long-winded way of saying it's all about the numbers. Okay, next segment here is I've got a little bit of a fertilizer update for you. And I reached out to Josh Linville. He's kind of like the fertilizer rock star of North America. Fertilizer prices obviously went crazy here the last couple of years, and Josh kept everyone informed on Twitter on what was going on. So you can subscribe to StoneX and to Josh's information. You can follow him on Twitter. Go and take a look at this stuff because it's some very good information. So his November mid-month report, he covers phosphate and urea. So let's talk about phosphate for a second here. So the U.S. has changed some of the import duties against Russia and Morocco. Russia, they increased the rate to 26.5%. So that should shut off Russian-produced phosphate from entering the U.S. For Morocco, they actually lowered it from 20% to 2.12%. And Josh says that this doesn't mean that Morocco product will come to the U.S. now. They have other global destinations, and they want the rate to be 0%. So he would not be surprised if very little to none actually came to North America. Next major headline for phosphate is that China is imposing export restrictions on phosphate, similar to what they've done on urea. It's a big deal because China is typically the world's largest exporter of DAP and MAP, DAP and MAP. So this current effect is tightening global supply, which is not good for lower prices, tightening up that supply. If Chinese production rates remain high with exports restricted, it could lead to a bit of a buildup in supply in China, and that could lead to some additional exports later next year, but time will tell. So it's kind of a scenario where phos prices maybe hang in, trend higher, but maybe next year we see some additional supply to help lower that price. But we're talking about potentially after the North American planting window, so time will tell. He also covered urea. And I thought this was interesting because I reached out to some retails over the last couple days here, and I got a message from them to basically they weren't excited for anyone to buy. In fact, they thought holding off right now on a purchase was probably a good idea. Now, uh, it's a market that trades. Anything can happen. It could certainly go higher, but that's the feeling I got. Now, when I looked at Josh's report, he said world values are trending lower since the conclusion of the last India purchase tender. Josh says stay close to your retailers with constant conversation. And I'm not sure if this is still a thing, but back when I worked in, I think my first summer job was with a retailer. We had Coffee Row every morning show up, and I'm not sure if that's still a thing, but if it is, maybe make it part of your routine. In Dormy, Saskatchewan, we only like a select few people could have coffee in the co-op, like in the back room. You had to be part of a special club, but and we didn't have a coffee shop, so you had to go to the retail to get a cup of coffee. And there's always a couple tables filled with people solving all the world's problems. But hey, maybe you got to get back to that right now. Just keep in constant contact with your retailer. He doesn't expect a ton of downside in price, as logistics are still the real concern. So he says stay engaged, and if you are going to buy urea, maybe pair that up with a grain sale or 2 or 3. I like to be optimistic on crop prices, but I also see some opportunity there, or expect opportunity in short order. So if you're going to buy, pair that up with the grain sale. Now for urea quotes, I don't have a lot of them, but there's some consistency here. I got 3 780s for urea. That would be for a fall type movement, so November. And then I got an 800 for November, and then I got an 830 and an 840, and that was for spring. Okay, so maybe that helps you out here just a little bit in making your fertilizer decision. And I hope to have Josh join the show over the next couple months, and continue to provide as best I can insight into the fertilizer market. Okay, that's all I have on fertilizer. So we are going to switch gears now to our top ag story of the week. We're going to cover oilseeds in great detail, but let's bring in a friend of the show, Bret Walts from BAMWX, and let's talk about the Brazilian weather forecast, especially that long-range forecast. All right, Bret, thank you so much for joining me here once again. Of course, this is Bret Walts from BAMWX. Man, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. It's a wonderful day here. I've got short sleeves on. It's warm, almost 70.
Nice. I want to talk to you about Canadian weather in just a few minutes here, because it's been like I almost wanted to cut my grass last week just to say that I did it in November, which is crazy. So anyways, our top story of the week here is Brazilian weather. Mm-hmm. And I saw soybeans pulled back aggressively today, soybean futures that pulled back canola. But what are you guys seeing at BAM when it comes to that Brazilian weather forecast?
Yeah, that's an area that just kind of continues to struggle with moisture. And not only that, but the next several days, aside from some very isolated precipitation chances, it's going to be hot. You're talking about well above normal heat, 90 to 100 degrees plus for many of the primary growing areas there into Mato Grosso as well. And I think that is something that is increasingly a concern as we go into December. I do think that there's maybe a little bit of hope for some precipitation as we get into next week.
Okay.
I think that there at the very least is probably going to be what we would call return flow from the Atlantic Ocean, where we get some pop-up activity. So some people might get lucky, but I'm concerned that some of the model data continues to be maybe a little bit overly aggressive. It's a common issue that happens in North America in the summertime as well, is the data 7, 8, 9 days out tries to see what really is just pop-up storms, and it tries to make it too broad-brushed or too widespread. And I'm concerned that the same type of thing is happening in Brazil as well. And so I
Okay.
think next week could be a period that's not as hot, where there's some rains, but I'm concerned that it's not enough and not widespread enough to really put a dent in the deficit that they're dealing with right now.
Okay. Those are great comments, because the market certainly, if you just looked at the soybean market today, it gave me the impression anyway that a significant moisture event was in the forecast, and maybe a change in trend. So those are some really good points there, Bret. I think that's probably good for Brazil. How about in your backyard in the U.S.? What are you guys seeing for weather forecast going into that holiday long weekend?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, it's mild right now, but that's going to change pretty drastically working into Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I actually have a piece of what I would call the tropospheric polar vortex that's going to move down into the Great Lakes. It's going to bring the coldest air of the season, and with that, you're going to start to squeeze out some snow shower and some wintry weather threats as we work into Thanksgiving, and then maybe a bigger storm to watch sometime late next weekend and into early the following week towards Cyber Monday. I definitely think that if you're in the Midwest, you're in the Great Lakes, maybe even the Ohio Valley, need to be on the lookout for some impactful weather. At the very least, it's a huge travel time frame, and I think that it's not going to be perfect like it is this week.
That's Nobody wants to hear that, when it comes to
Yeah, I know.
stressful travel time, right? But that's maybe folks will change some plans up a little bit with that. But that's I guess that time of year, right? It certainly
It is.
happens. All right. Well, finally, let's switch over to Canada. Like I said here, it's been mild. I don't
Yeah.
have any snow. And what else do you see for the Canadian prairies?
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of snow through the end of the month. You do get this cold shot, so it is going to get colder next week as well. But with the cold and how strong of a shot of cold that it is and where it's coming from, it just is going to suppress the moisture for you all up there. The storm track's going to be a lot further south, and you all and even into the northern plains in the U.S. are just kind of in a lull versus where I think the better storm track is going to set up. And so drier than normal, probably cold for a time, but I think into December it gets mild again. And you probably continue to have the best storm track to be a little bit further south. I'd watch later in December maybe to pick up some better chances. I think the month as a whole could end up more seasonable when all is said and done, but I think the month probably starts off on a drier note. I don't think there's a ton of snow in there.
I have a 3-year-old, and she was asking this week if we could go outside and build a snowman. And I said, not quite yet, sweetheart. We need some snow. So
Yeah.
I'll cross my fingers for a white Christmas here up in
Yeah,
in my neck
maybe
of
by
woods.
then. Surely by then, right?
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess I got to put my Christmas lights up this week if it's going to get cold next week. So I'll
There you
work
go.
on that. All right. Great weather update. Appreciate it. How about for you guys over at BAM? Anything new that you want to cover off today?
Yeah, we've actually got a quite a lot of new things that are coming at BAM Weather over the next couple of weeks. The biggest thing is next Thursday, so Thanksgiving evening, we're actually going to be launching our brand new platform called Clarity. That's going to be a platform that anyone can use, but it has great for people in the agriculture industry to look at all kinds of different specific agricultural conditions, spray index, and evapotranspiration rates, and growing degree units, and things like that, and the ability to talk to us at any time, so we can really
Okay.
kind of break down what the forecast is for you. And that launches on Thanksgiving evening. And with it, we're doing a launch sale / Black Friday sale. It's going to be 50% off, and we would love to help anybody out with that. You can go to our website, bamwx.com, and it'll be all over our social media pages as well.
Fantastic. That is great. And that's a great offer as well. So excited. We'll get our farm nice and set up there, and look forward to that. So thanks again, Bret. Always a pleasure having you on the show, and we'll certainly connect here next month. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy very early Thanksgiving. And
Yes.
chat with you later.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
So our top story is, of course, the South American weather and the impact it's had on futures values here over the last week or so. Today, and again, recording this on Thursday afternoon, a bit of a down day in soybeans and canola. I wanted to just continue to elaborate on this a little bit more and bring into the conversation. Yes, we have South American weather scares, which is it's a bit early for that to impact the growing season a whole bunch. But, there are reports that portions of Mato Grosso, you could see up to 2 million hectares of soybeans replanted due to drought. So it's an important story out there, and it will gain more importance as we approach the end of 2023. But let's also bring in palm oil into the equation here, because palm oil, soybeans, soybean oil, soy meal will all have an impact on your direction of your canola price. So palm oil, at the moment, and these notes are from Oil World. They're a great publication if you want to check them out. But for the moment, palm oil supply is quite large in Malaysia, India, and Pakistan. Indonesia's production has fallen short and could still be impacted by dryness due to El Nino. And so there's actually a bit of a bullish story playing out in the palm oil market. From January of 24 to September of 24, global production decline is likely across all vegetable oils. Again, this is according to the fine people at Oil World, put together a great publication. While demand from the biofuel industries of the US, Brazil, and Indonesia is expected to continue to expand. So high demand, less supply could result in palm oil values continuing to increase, for the first half of 24, and it may be increase as much as 10%. Okay. So there's a palm oil story in the background brewing, and it does have an impact on your canola. So we've got weather in South America. We've got palm oil story brewing in Indonesia, strong demand. And let's add in the latest on canola at the same time here. Now, we all know that exports have been horrendous, and you can tell by looking at bids across the prairies. It's your crushers that are leading, and CHS as well. I believe, I'll have to check what town that was, but they also had some very strong bids, and I just had it here, so give me 1 sec. I'm just going to double check. So for canola, your crushers are leading, and CHS in Winkler, Manitoba. That's what I thought was Winkler, Manitoba. Also some strong bids out there as well. So canola exports from Canada, terrible. China down 40% year over year. Also seeing declines out of Mexico, Chile, and South Korea. The bright spot has been the increased demand to the US, up 60% year over year. And right now it's all about those crush plants. Crush margins are fantastic, $220 a ton, similar to this time last year, and a good reason for them to be the top bids across the prairie. So it's not all doom and gloom in this canola market. I know we had a tough day today, down over $12 a ton. I know that, or I feel strongly that StatsCan will increase canola production on the December 4th report. But there's some stuff brewing here, folks, that you're going to want to pay attention to. I noticed Bunge Nipawin had a $16 canola special for January as well. Again, crushers leading, and lots of margin there for them to do so. All right. Okay, so that's about all I had when it comes to South American weather and the impact here on oil seeds. And let's stay close to this one, folks. Again, I was feeling a little bit better about canola values last week, and episode maybe was that 2? Can't quite remember. Still feeling okay about it. As Bret mentioned, there is some rain in the forecast, some cooler temperatures. But is the forecast, penciling a little too much precipitation? We'll find out next week. The market certainly trading it like it was certainly going to rain a whole bunch. Okay, switch gears now. Let's talk about the feed market for a little bit. It's a tough one to talk about, in my opinion. I've been a big bear in the barley market here for what seems like the last 4 or 5 months. But I did get an update from Marketplace Commodities. We do have our friend of the show there, David Lee. He'll join us on a few episodes later on, but he did send over some notes in regards to feed direction. And so obviously the USDA report on November 9th showed an increase in corn bushels. And we saw a new low in the December corn contract of 461. So that increased production has pressured all feed grains, including barley. Farmers obviously looking for some higher prices right now, while feedlots, and in quotations, that are still using barley, because we know a lot of them are using corn, are showing lower bids as they are currently overbooked on grain. So this is a mid-November update. November loads have been slow to move. Trade has slowed down as well. It's quiet out there. To top it off, rejected malt barley is traveling north from Montana into the Lethbridge feed supply. Wheat's trading at a $5 to $10 a ton premium over barley, but in many scenarios, wheat has been replaced by U.S. corn. Latest estimates of corn imports are at 3.2 million metric tons, up from a previous forecast of 2.2. Seasonal low for barley typically occurs between mid-November and February. And David is recommending that you sell when you see a pop-up in values. Now, silver lining here is, and maybe cross your fingers, that these low values translate into some export business out of this country. Maybe we can ship a couple of vessels of barley out. But it looks like the Australians have that tied up for the moment. So tough slugging. I know I was maybe a bit optimistic on malt barley values last episode. Not seeing that right now across the prairies. I got a couple of feed bid updates, and they were lower, tracking lower and lower. And at this point, I suppose that you kind of have to stay patient right now. I don't know if you want to chase it right now. I still think values could work a little bit lower, but geez, are we not getting close to a bottom here? Fingers crossed, right? And export demand would certainly help that out. Yeah, I think that's good for the feed market for the time being. Malt values, talk about top bids in a second, but malt values kind of pulling back a little bit here, just slightly as well. All right, folks, I'm recording this after the close on Thursday. Here's your futures update. Canola down 12.70, trading at 7.06. Now, just remember, folks, we were at 6.71 just a couple weeks ago. So we're going the right way for the most part. Soybeans down 24.5 cents at 13.60. Again, trading that wet forecast for Brazil. Corn up 4 cents at 4.74. So that's up from that bottom from 10 days ago at 4.61. Oats currently down about a penny at 3.69 off the March. Still a downtrend in the oat market. Chicago wheat down 7, Kansas wheat down 12, spring wheat down 9 cents, 7.26 on the December contract. That range 7.10 to 7.40 is basically where we're trading. And again, I'm seeing $10 bids at Daysland and Patterson. Patterson in Daysland, Alberta, pardon me. But it's, if you get that $9.50 in certain portions of the prairies, up to $10 in certain areas, that seems to be the sell right now to generate cash flow. Crude oil having a rough go today, trading at 73.13 a barrel. This next range that we could trade would be between $66 and $71 a barrel. And the Canadian dollar gave up almost half a cent here today at 72.67. All right. Top bids for the week. I wanted to find them. Here we go. Top bids. This is powered by our friends over at Farmbucks. So check out their app. It's very easy to use. You can basically put in the commodities that you want to track for prices, and it pulls in. I'm not sure how many data points at this time. I'll have to ask Lynn next time I chat with her. but a whole bunch of bids for reference. And so anyways, this segment is powered by Farmbucks. Now, I'm just going to highlight a couple things here for today. So large green lentils, 70 cents a pound. Small green, 65 cents a pound. And for many, that would be picked up on farm. Reds, I know 40 cents a pound is a kind of a sweet spot out there for a number. And it is pulling a bid into Estevan of 40 cents. So if you're a red lentil grower, 40 cents might actually be a bit of a sell for you to consider. Other than that, I see yellow pea bids backing off ever so slightly. Still seeing some, between 11 and 12, depending on where you farm, but not doing a whole bunch there. And green peas kind of hanging in the up to that $17 a bushel range. Not doing much new when it comes to green peas. Maple peas still in that $24 to $25 range. Other than that, folks, I don't know. I just find it like eerily quiet when it comes to crop pricing. It's not that it's boring at this time per se, but not a lot going on. I did see an oat price actually pick up. So it was like 6 weeks of down, 1 week of steady, and now a little special popped up for some oats. The value was not super exciting, but hey, going in the right direction. And as Chuck mentioned a little while back, a little bit optimistic on where oat prices could go. All right, folks. I think that's it for prices here. So let's just get to maybe some things to consider, some strategies to consider. Now, I really don't have the right to give you any advice. I don't know your farms individually. But, I wrote in my notes here to make a plan to sell barley. Well, maybe to sell malt barley, I guess, would be the one to consider. Feed barley, I've been selling lots of feed barley the last couple of months. We cleaned out our farm. Oh man, mid-September, I guess, is when we did our contract. But anyways, can't go back in time. So I think for right now, I'm still being patient on a lot of crops, patient on canola, certainly hitting those wheat targets and getting some wheat moved. And also, I would say if you have pulses on the farm, it's probably a good idea to move pulses to generate cash flow. Cash flow is a super important topic this time of year. And maybe it's a yellow pea, a green pea, a lentil, or flax. Those are the crops I would certainly look at selling at this time. Okay. All right. Let's move over now. I do have combines from Chris. Now, Chris was a little bit shy. He farms up in kind of that Peace region, up a little bit further north than I. But I do have permission to read this out. So Chris went to the website, submitted some equipment to sell, and we've got twins here to sell. So we've got two 9120 case combines. Both have premium cabs, Magna choppers. Blades are 2 years old. Small tube rotors, pickup heads, full auto steer. They finished up harvest here 2023 with no problems and have had lots of new parts over the last 5 years. Chris is asking $105,000 OBO for those each one of those combines. And so reach out to the show. Go to email, text me. You got that at the start of the episode. Lots of ways to get a hold of me if you are interested in these combines. I can get you in touch with Chris and set you guys up from there. Okay, and just to wrap up the episode, some housekeeping. We didn't have any voicemails this week. Our voicemail sponsor is Tower Farms. That's Jacob and Becky Boydchuk of Pioneer Seeds. We are going to draw for some seed P516L. You can see it behind me here in the shot. Any voicemail submitted by December 17th, we're going to draw for that a couple days after the 17th. It's easy to participate. Even going to put a little video on social media so that you can see how to do this. But go to the website, whatthefuturespodcast.ca, of course, and click on the voicemail button, and even just give me input on the show. Are you enjoying the show? Where are you tuning in from? Anything like that will count. And of course, if you have a question that you want me to answer, I'll do my best at that as well. Go ahead and do that. You'll get entered to win a bag of canola seed. This is worth like $800. We're going to draw for these monthly. The first one that was coming up in, I guess, just over a month here. Other than that, we have our next contest will be out in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. I've got some fun collaboration going on for the next contest. If you're a grain buyer or a farmer, I'm looking to build 2 panels to record, get 3 farmers, 3 grain buyers with me, separate episodes, of course, but just to have a panel discussion. If you are a grain buyer or a farmer and are interested in joining the show, message me and let's have some fun with it. And if you have made it to minute 41 of this episode and you enjoyed today's content, if you could do me a huge favor and share it with your friends and fellow farmers across your channels, I would appreciate it. The show, we've got listeners tuning in now in South Africa, so thank you, Jan, for tuning in. We've had listens in Spain, the UK, Germany, a whole bunch in Mexico, which is great. Some of you must be on vacation, and of course, Canada and the US. So tell your friends. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in this week. I'm out.